Hey, welcome back to another Mind the Mic podcast. I'm your host, Shubz, here with a very special guest in the building. Well, not in the building, in the cyber building, I guess you'd say. The great Megan Alatini. What's good, sis? How are you?
Hey, Martel Shubz. Oh my God. Thank you so much for the invitation to come and hang out with you on your podcast today. I know it's been a long time in the making, but here we are. And let me just start by saying, brother, I am so proud of you for what you're doing. You're out there across the ditch and, laying your mind on the mic with your podcast and talking to as many people as you can. And for me to have been selected to be invited to come and hang out and chat with you too is just an absolute honor. So I'm proud of you for what you're doing.
Oh, holy Rick, you want to do my intros all the time? Holy Rick. Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah, let's go. That was solid.
Gotta give props where it's due, yo. I told you before we recorded, I said to you, man, I've wanted to do podcasts and talk shows, and I've been talk. And here you are actually doing it, actioning that dream and that goal. So big ups to you for that.
Nike, just do it, eh?
Do it.
Yeah, shout out Phil Knight. Got it done. For anybody that doesn't know who you are, sis, probably wouldn't be many, but just in case they don't, can you give us a little background on yourself?
Oh my goodness, where do I start? I've got to start with my whānau first and foremost. Yep. So mum and dad, and we moved from South Africa to New Zealand in the
let's go before the move. Let's go before the move.
Before the move even. Okay, so born in Cape Province, George, South Africa, all the way in Africa.
Yeah, shout out Table Mountains.
Absolutely, that's my Maunga right there.
That's it, huh? That's it. 100.
Table Mountain with a tablecloth. I tell you, come with me someday. It's awesome.
What's the waka? What's the waka? Pontus, how did you get over? What was the plane?
Oh man. Okay, we're gonna chop and turn and go all over the place. But how we got here was my mum and dad wanted to raise their kids, us, in a different, more safe environment. At the time, South Africa was going through the apartheid system. So I actually was born and raised in the system where there was whites only signs, coloreds here.
Would you be colored?
Yeah, so my family are mixed, so English, German, and South African. Probably Xhosa, Zulu, Khoisan. A lot of our African cultures I don't even know.
Oh, let's go. That's it. That was cool.
Sadly, it was during the apartheid system where there was real segregation, and my parents were part of the ANC, Nelson Mandela's political party, fighting for human rights and equality. And I guess throughout that struggle, they also wanted us children to be raised in a safer, more diverse and accepted culture and community. So my parents decided to move over here to beautiful Aotearoa, New Zealand. And to answer your question, how did we get here? So it took us 2 years to even be accepted to leave the country. Not accepted in. South Africa wouldn't allow my parents to leave, so they had to do all of their documentation via Zimbabwe, which was called Rhodesia at the time. And even though my dad had a job offer, he had residency status already provided, the South African government was scared that my parents were coming over here for political reason and to set up a rebel group. Which they probably wanted to do that too, but ultimately it was for lifestyle and work opportunities. And so after 2 years of really grinding and trying to get us across, we went for the first time on a plane from Cape Town to Johannesburg, Johannesburg to Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe to Mauritius.
Did you stop off for holiday or nah?
I wish it was those transit ones.
Oh yeah, I've been to Mauritius.
I've been to Madagascar on the runway. But from Madagascar, Mauritius, we went to Taipei in Taiwan. Taipei to Hong Kong. And now we got off the plane. We were finally allowed off the plane. Yes.
Far out, man. What a journey. Just in planes.
So Taipei to Hong Kong. Hong Kong to Perth.
Up to Perth.
Perth to Sydney. Finally got to Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland, in
But
July
you went like over there, then
1987.
back again. Holy Rick.
It took us about a week to get here, and we had a
Wow.
suitcase each, and I think my parents had a couple of $100, and that was it. And all we knew was what we saw on the brochures of our travel tickets, which was, are we going to a place where there's wooden huts and houses that look like this? No.
You thought you were going to the marae.
What the heck? It's an island with lots of sheep and men kiss with their noses and people are wearing grass skirts. What? We're going to New Zealand.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, it's the best thing that my parents could have ever done for us. And I'm so proud to say that from the moment that we landed and where we first set up base was in the heart of South Auckland, Papatoetoe and Manukau City. And
when I was a kid.
Where a lot of people were like, where are you living? And I'd say South Side, really proud. And they're like, South Auckland. And I'm like, yes, man, South Auckland. And people would call it the hood. And I'm like, hell, you need to go to Africa.
You haven't seen the hood. You haven't seen the hood like this, eh? Yeah.
I'm going to the worst school in New Zealand. It's the harshest, at Clover Park Intermediate in Otara. Oh man, that's nothing. But you know, besides that, like absolutely grateful because at least in the South Side, it was people who looked a bit like me, had curly hair like me. We loved music and food and church and culture. And it's there in my intermediate and high school years that I learned, man, what a travesty it was that South Africa was going through the apartheid system, because here in New Zealand, people were talking about their Maunga and their Awa and their Moana and their languages. And I'm like, what the heck? I don't know enough about mine. I really used those, you know, what we now know as a pepeha framework to then research where are my people from? What's the languages that we speak? You know? Even though I pretended to be Maori many times, I was like, Napuhi Han, kia ora.
Probably easy though, eh? Probably easy, like the color of the skin and that area.
The Maori touched him, and it was like, oh no, imposter.
Not the Maori touched him.
It was me these times. But I tell you, the cultural and the connection with my friends, my teachers, my sports coaches. I'm so stoked and grateful to have been raised in that really multicultural society that became our new family in New Zealand, you know, so far away from home. And it was because of that cultural integration and my kind of reconnection with my own culture that I was constantly drawn to music. What is it that I do know about my people? And what I do know is that we love music, we love dance, we love entertainment. And so I'm really proud to say that that's where my musical roots come from.
Yeah, that's on. What a story. Do you got us a pepe houses for the African one?
In Afrikaans or in Te Reo?
Oh, whatever you got us.
So, ko Megan tōku ingoa no South Africa, ho, ko Cassie Kirshner Alatini, te whānau. Goeiedag allemaal, my naam is Megan Alatini. My van was Cassie, maar nou is ek Alatini en ek is nou in New Zealand vir omtrent 30 jaar en ek is so gelukkig om hier te wees. My familie daar in Suid-Afrika, ek mis julle so baie, maar hier is ons in Aotearoa, New Zealand en ek kan nie wag om vir ons mense meer te sien en ons doen ons ding. Doen jou ding.
Yeah, that was mean. I don't know what you said.
So basically, this is who I am, from South Africa, Cassie Kirshner Alatini family. Absolutely stoked to be in New Zealand, but you know, I will always pay tribute to my roots and my whānau back in South Africa. Just happy to be here. Let's do the thing. I said, let's do the thing.
Krishna, that's your whānau, like that fella Zane.
Zane is my cousin.
Oh, true.
Yes.
Yeah, you're the Krishnas.
It's the South African Germans, man.
Yeah. No, that's on. So what was life like growing up in apartheid South Africa? What was that like for yourself? I guess.
Hey, don't you come and get me all teary-eyed and all snotty nose. Hang on, I've got hay fever.
Oh, you're right. Oh, you got hay fever.
Oh, you
What's
know
up?
it. It's the dust. It's the dust.
No, speak about us. Tell me, what's going on?
The one thing I can say about people of adversity is you don't know how bad you have it, or sometimes how good you have it, until you step out of that environment, right? And you don't know what you don't know. And most certainly, we didn't know what was happening around the rest of the world because we weren't allowed access to it. We couldn't see what was happening elsewhere. We didn't have international television because there were protocols and conditions set out where South Africa was cut off from the rest of the world. Pretty much what you see with, Iran and Syria and places like that where everything's a bit sanctioned. That's what was happening in South Africa. So I knew what I knew and what I lived every day, which was I had a beautiful colored community, and it was a real mix between a Christian and Muslim community within the Cape Coloured zone. So you'd hear the mosques and the prayers and things going on in the background. And on Sunday, I would go to church. And I did know that something wasn't right with me not being allowed to go to certain areas or certain schools. We'd go to a swimming pool and the sign would say whites only. And you'd have a security guard come up to my parents and say, get your kids out of the pool. They can't swim there. They're black colored kids. Get them out. It's for whites only. And me witnessing my parents standing strong and going, nah, brother, you're colored too. You tell them why they're not allowed in the pool. And if you think that that's for real and legit and fair, then cool, we'll move out. But until then,
colored man telling you too.
Oh, he was. And so you can imagine my dad was arrested many times.
Yeah. Shout out to the man. Shout out to your dad, dude. What a man.
Oh, no, both my parents were just so instrumental when it came to that struggle. But at the time, as a child, you don't know that that's not how it is for the rest of the world. And I used to think my parents had the meanest parties because every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, our house was full of people. And they'd be drawing on posters and learning dances and chants. And I was like, whoa, party style, not knowing they're preparing for a riot or a campaign or a march.
Rally.
Like, okay. And we were taught to kind of lie in a sense, but when they say white lies, this was a good white lie. We were taught that my mum's students were our nannies or our housekeepers, because back then militants or military and police would come into your house, and if there were blacks or coloreds or activists, no questions asked, they would be pulled out of your house and thrown in jail pretty much. And so because my parents' house was the base for that, if ever the police would come in, we were trained to say that they were our staff or our workers and not activists. So it was weird being a kid being taught how to kind of lie, but for the right reasons and to protect someone's freedom. But in all of that, Shubz, I have to say, man, our people knew how to have a vibe. They knew how to still entertain themselves with very little money. We'd get together in groups and communities, and they would sing and they would dance and they would cry and all of that. But there was a real solid camaraderie that I'm not too sure if you get that sense of togetherness and connection and commitment to a cause unless you go through something like that. So while I don't ever want someone to go through the downturn of what apartheid or racism or that type of political unrest can create in one's heart and soul, on the other side, the silver lining for me is a sense of community and belonging and strength that came from fighting for your rights and what that brought for us as a whānau.
I think she come back.
I'm here still. Can you not hear me?
The joys of doing these things remotely, fam. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you're back. You're back, sis.
Sorry, I could hear you the whole time. So.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, no. As you're saying, the silver lining and all of that is that that
That connection. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean,
Whanaungatanga
you have
to
that to take from
the
that, sis.
extreme.
it's good that you have that to take from that experience. You know what I mean? Like, because, like you say, obviously you don't wish that kind of stuff on anyone in the world. You know what I mean? If only we
I
could live
think
in a
for
peace.
I think if you were to focus too much on the hardships, people being slayed, people being imprisoned wrongly, Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, all of those people, not having the jobs that you deserved or the finances to uphold your family. If we focus too much on that, I think I would be angry and sad all the time. And that is the
Mm,
reality of what was lived at the time. But it's incredible how through that so much good and so much connection
mm,
and commitment to a cause was lived, that we have a very different outlook on life now. I know I certainly do. The
yeah.
reason why I work in D&I spaces and well-being and really the upliftment of people is because I know what the other effect of that is, to be downtrodden and undermined. I know
Yeah.
firsthand the adverse and the long-term effects that has. So I'm big on where's the silver lining? How do we make that a cup half full rather than half empty? And that's not all the time. Oh, I tell you, I have my woes every now and then. But
Yeah.
if I can use that experience to impart on others and to share my story to make sure others don't do the same or experience the same, then that's my duty of care.
Yeah, no, but do you think the speaking on the silver lining and how not trying to focus too much on all the negative stuff, and do you think that mindset's what creates the person you are when it comes to the bubbliness? Obviously, we all have our down days. Like, I think a lot of my stuff is like I didn't grow up in the apartheid South Africa, but a lot of molesting and all that kind of stuff happened, and like a lot of our family, which is sad. But a lot of people know me as like a cheeky clown, like that enjoys makes everyone laugh. But I think that was my coping mechanism. Could it be in a way your a coping mechanism that you created, or is that like where did that come from? The bubbliness that you have.
Yeah, I think very much so. It's a coping mechanism. It is part of my character and my demeanor naturally anyway. But
Yeah.
I think where that comes from in the first place is when you come from a foundation of love and care and nurturing, and which I have, where I had a mum and dad who very early in life made you feel like you could do whatever you wanted to do. They would send you out in the world, and if you were a shit soccer player, they'd tell you you're a shit soccer player. But if you were a mean singer, they would tell you you're a mean singer and sing that out to the world,
Yeah.
and would be your number one supporters. And I think my confidence, and it's not always there, trust me, there are days where I'm down in the dumps and I doubt myself and I sabotage my own journey at times. But I do believe that if you've got a support posse behind you, if
Mm,
you've got that whānau, be it by blood or the ones that you've chosen for yourself,
yep.
and you've got people who fan your flame and make sure that your fire is burning, if you've got that, then you're kind of doing it for yourself and those that are your support team. And I most certainly can't do anything that I do without an awesome, awesome collective. Without that, I would only but be an inch of what I am today.
No, beautiful. That's solid. Shout out to them. How many siblings you got?
I've got four siblings that I know of.
Oh, what was this one?
I had to think about that. I had to think about that. So I'm the eldest. I'm gonna have to be careful because these things go worldwide, and I don't want to get in trouble.
We
So
go worldwide, don't worry. But yeah. So be careful, eh? I don't know what
Dad
to
was
say.
a bit of a Casanova.
Oh, same as mine. All good. Yeah,
Don't promote that either. That's not the way to go. But
no,
and
but he
from my
was.
mum and dad,
Mine was.
there's myself. I'm the eldest.
Yep.
My sister Monique, and my brother Sebastian, and my younger sister Meryl. So we were raised together. And I've got two brothers in South Africa with the same name, but from different zones of Africa and different ages. But a big shout out to my brothers,
Big shout
Denver
out to the
and
brothers.
Denver.
You the
And then I've
brothers.
got go the brothers. And then I've got a beautiful baby brother, Oscar, who came about the same time as our children. So my
Cool.
dad's swimmers were well and alive for a long
Oh,
time.
well, my man, same. Like my older son is and my sister like only like a year apart. So yeah, I'm same. My dad's the same on the same bus. Shout out to my sister. I think I got one in Christchurch. We got two brother and sister. They're to the same age, different mothers, or like 5 months apart. But yeah, you know, he was a loving man.
Oh, he was, yeah, and as was mine. And you know what I'm so stoked about? My mum was always a real promoter of children. And so every time, you know, a new child was in the fold or a new sibling, my mum very quickly encouraged us to embrace our siblings and, you know, to make sure that we invited them warmly into the fold. And we sometimes raised an eyebrows at parents who were being a little bit naughty. But you know, people have made mistakes, and if we can learn from theirs and not make them ourselves, I'm big on that as well. But I love all of the sibs. We're very, very close, and all very talented in different ways. We have a good laugh together, and a lot of them have come over your way over to Australia now. So I don't know. I might have to come and knock on the Aussies' door.
Oh, come over, sis. You come for quite anytime.
Got a spare couch. As long as there's a couch or a floor space, I'm there.
Got you, sis. Got you. No, my harama. Yeah. That's it. But even so, what happened with the olds? Are they still around? They're not together?
My parents are both alive and kicking and healthy. My dad's in Sydney and doing well over there. My mum, who is a bit of an angel in disguise, I reckon, Nana Barbs, she's here in Auckland at the moment in Stillwater near Silverdale, and they are no longer together and don't really have much time together either, and that's fine. But in their own rights, they're both doing incredibly well. So
awesome! Shout out to
the parents. Without them, we wouldn't be here in this little
literally.
New Zealand, you
know? Are they both coloured?
Yep, both are half caste.
What would be considered coloured? Yes, they would have.
Yeah, so mum's very fair, green eyes, freckles, red hair. That's the German side. And then dad's got a mix of English, I think, in him. And one of the things I really want to do is find out more about my whakapapa and do a bit of a DNA test and find out exactly what is this melting pot in amongst this girl here.
It'll be good for your mokopunas too, because you got mokos now or coming, or how many?
Coming. Yeah. So I've got 3 babies myself. So I've got Tonika, who's the oldest, and I like to share her name because
that's a fun. That's an interesting name.
I'm going to tell you all about it. So here I am, 18, just finished school, prefect of Papatoetoe High School, a bit of a nerd. Kissed Peter. Must have been more than a kiss, because next thing you know, I'm pregnant.
Oh, the kissing.
But we fell pregnant with Tonika, and oh my God, I got all these horror stories from people saying, oh, you know, the family's going to take your baby and you're never going to see your child again. And I was freaking out at, you know, the cultural things around who's going to name the child and all of that, which I'm all about. I love that. But, you know, I've got a culture too.
When there's like the Tongan side, like the Tongos are going to take
it. This is going to be the oldest grandchild and this is going to happen and that. I'm like, ow. But Peter's family, just so beautiful, amazing Alatini family. And anyway, my sister one day said to me, oh, you're a bit nervous about, you know, the name and who's going to look after the baby and stuff. I'm like, I'm looking after the baby, but, you know, we can all have shared responsibility with the name and things. And then Meryl said, I've got an idea, sis, and I reckon this is going to save us. If you have a boy, we're going to call him Tonikan, and if you have a girl, we're going to call her Tonika. Ton, the first 3 letters of Tonga. ICA, the last 3 letters of Africa. With her cultures combined, she is Tonika.
Captain Planet.
So we named her Tonika. She's got Peter's mum's middle name, Helita Cassie Alatini, and that was just really to pay tribute to our 2 culture sets.
The whole fun. That's cool.
The whole whano. Nobody can be mad at me now.
Nah, hard. What's that like? Those cultures. Did your fellas' cultures ever clash, or your understandings? Like, you know, 2 different.
It was so different in parts, and then so similar in some parts. Like the parts I didn't really understand to begin was, what do you mean I need to give $1,000 to the church? I don't even have that. did that money disappear from my bank account? But what I can say is, and it's not to undermine a culture or a religion, it's just what I was experiencing at the time as a newbie.
What was different for you, right? It was new for you.
Different. And then I'd go, well, I better go and do some shopping, dumbass. Now I'm spending double the money. But the similarities were family first, your love for God or a higher power, definitely the music and the cultural experiences, heaps of kai time. Man, when I met this Tongan family, they fed me up all the time. They were like, Meg,
plates of doom, eh?
Arms too skin. No, too skinny.
Eat up, girl, eat up. Hey.
And we had some awesome support, that whole and the oldest auntie really kind of steps in and stands in as a godmother figure, and the namesake and all of those things culturally. That was quite different for me, but was so lucky to have that support, especially being a young teen mum at the time. They just absolutely loved on Tanika, as did my family. My sister Meryl used to come home from school and I'd just put the baby down and she'd come out and she'd go, she was awake, I promise. And I'm like, it's hard to be mad when that's also the sister helping you change nappies. And
it's like, Wait, but that's the one day like people think they know what tired is. Do they have kids
I tell you. But culturally, many differences. And I think at the time there weren't many South African, Tongan couples or pairings. And
probably the first, probably the OGs.
I'm going to take that. I'm going to take it. And what I loved was all of a sudden, I had heaps of cousins and heaps of family members. And I remember doing music things, and my tour manager said to me, man, everywhere we go in New Zealand, you've got so many family members come and see you for backstage passes. And I was like, well, on my side of the family, there's none, but let them in. It's the Tongies.
Okay. Because you speak Tongan pretty well, Tissus.
Not well enough. I only know the naughty words, like kove or fisi teringa and some other words which I won't say. Isn't it terrible? We always learn. We learn, I can't speak the language, the statement to say that, and then the naughty words.
Yeah. Well, my Tongan cousins just taught me all those, That's about it.
Foi lole, I knew that one. Foi lole. I didn't even need to know what the word meant, just their eyebrows said it all.
Oh, the eyebrows was enough for you? The eyebrows. So what's it like? Obviously, how old is it, Peter? How old is when he becomes All Black and all that? How old was that all there?
Yeah, so that all happened in 1999 for both Peter and I at the same time. So Pete made the All Blacks the same year that I was selected for True Bliss. So it was like, oh my gosh, when you have your dreams and your goals, and one day I'd love to be this, and it would be awesome if one of you got to that point. But for both of us too was pretty phenomenal.
It's pretty cool.
So both of us
and stuff, sis,
we went from 2-minute noodles, putting pots and pans on lay-by, not being able to furnish a house other than some things from, God, I don't even think we had Target back then. I think we were still doing our groceries from Three Guys and Decca. But, from that to then be selected as an All Black for Pete and for myself, and New Zealand's first made-for-TV pop band. It was pretty overwhelming and unreal, and a special time. And so I think we were both 23 at the time, 22, 23.
Yeah.
And literally what I'm so grateful for is we were really able to use our time with our profession to then also bring our whānau on board. So, where things were a bit of a struggle street and we didn't have all the niceties in life, every now and then when a contract was signed or an album was sold, not that we made heaps of money from the music, but could at least share that with our family as well, because again, we couldn't have done it without them. They were the ones driving us to trainings or to auditions and things. And it was cool to be the representation for, not just ourselves, but for our greater family community. That was cool.
Can you take us through the process of how that comes about, the whole True Bliss thing, and like for yourself?
Yeah. So let me start with a disclaimer by saying I used to enter every single talent quest at school and always lost.
Oh, true.
I'd be that girl that would be singing, and my friends would be in the front with cardboard, with gosh, what was the song I used to do? I used to love Janet Jackson.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the way love goes, like a moth to a flame burned by the fire. And my friends would be sitting there, and I'd go, okay, these are the lyrics. And I'd literally be going
true.
back then you cut the lyrics out of the magazines, and we didn't have photocopiers that expanded it. So my girls had to write it out for me so I could read it from the stage.
You got to Google lyrics in there.
Thank God I could bloody read good back then. I didn't need the glasses then. But anyway, I always loved music. Did musical theatre and stuff like that at school, not professionally, but I loved it. And then my whānau had a braiding whare. We used to do the braids in Auckland.
Yep. Oh,
and it was good. Hey, when hairdressers couldn't do the curly whirl frizzies, we had to come up with something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, man, they were the best days. Yeah, I know those sisters. We all used to be in there. Come on, let's see to the furs. But it was at that time that there was an article or just a little ad in the paper that said, do you think you've got what it takes to be a pop star? And if you do, there's these auditions happening all around Auckland or New Zealand at this date. And my sister saw the ad and she was like, Megs, you like to sing and, you're always entering those talent quests and stuff. You should go. I was like, nah, I'm not experienced. I don't have any training. And my mum, being my mum, was like, stop talking about the things that you want to do and you don't do it. You're going to the audition.
Oh, shout out to mum. Right.
So I did. I went to the audition, and what happened back then is the Auckland auditions were at the Auckland Town Hall. And I remember lining up on Queen Street and seeing about 15 or so people. And I thought, oh, okay, I'm looking kind of cute and I can sing some songs. So out of the 15, I should do all right. And then I started getting nervous because they had sheet music and somebody had a violin and little ghetto blast, and I'm like, shit, I don't have anything. And but still 15, I've got a really good chance. And then somebody came to the entrance of the town hall and said, hey, you guys, you're at the wrong entrance. The entrance is at the back. We're like, okay, get to the back, and there's hundreds of people. I'm like literally wanted to give up right then and there, and nervous as, intimidated. Everyone's looking good. They've got all their stuff already. And my sister basically said, I didn't come here with you all the way from Mannix to the city for you to bail. We're doing this audition. So I did. And at that stage, you would go into a room and you'd audition in front of 2 or 3 people. And that's where I auditioned in front of Peter Ehrlich, Jonathan Dowling, and a record producer. And brother, I was nervous. The voice was quivering. I was like, what am I going to sing?
Oh, you didn't even know everything. You just...
when you're nervous like that, you just go blank. Like when somebody says, what's your favorite song? And you go, usually it comes out like, oh, mate, it was honestly this freeze moment. And also I'm intimidated because everyone else, they've got song sheets. And they've got, music books.
We're professional.
Professional. And here I come with, bloody braids, a crop top, and bloody Spice Girl boots. Anyway, the only song that I could think of where I knew the lyrics was a song that my mum loved in her days that had a remake. So I sung Killing Me Softly by Lauryn Hill. And only because it was in the back of my mind so clearly, because my mum used to sing the Roberta Flack version.
Oh, true. So that's a remake, actual. Wow.
Yeah. So sung Killing Me Softly. The voice was a bit quivery, but I got through it. And then they ask you a little bit about yourself, and I was like, oh, here we go. And I was just like, no, I've got to tell them I'm South African, Kiwi. I'm a young mum. I've got a 2-3-year-old daughter. South Auckland girl. Music is my life, and it would be like a dream come true to do this. but just happy to be here, sort of thing. And then they said, thank you, we'll let you know. And then I ran out of there. And then about weeks later, I think it was about 3 or so weeks later, they called me to say that I'd made it down to like a top 50.
Yep.
And that they were bringing all of that top 50 to Auckland to do another audition, because they'd been auditioning all over New Zealand. From the top 50, they took us down to 20. And at that stage, they'd put you in groups of like 4 or 5, and they'd test you out with each other and kind of see those dynamics. Sent us off, and then in the new year of 99, I got a phone call to say, hey, we're now down to the final 10. You're in the final 10. We want to come to your family home to interview you for one last interview, and we'll take it from there. So I got the family to clean the house, put on.
So where are you staying now at this stage? When this happens?
We moved from Manukau City to Pakuranga, kind of Botany, Howick area.
Yeah.
So east side, and I was living with my mum, and Pete had just made the Highlanders, and just a couple of days prior had flown down to Otago to go and be with the Highlanders team. And I was like, oh, do you mind if I stay? I've got this one last interview. I probably won't get it, so I'll join you in a few days. Yeah. Anyway, they walked through the door and, welcomed me, and I welcomed them into the family, and they said, we just want to let you know you're the first girl that's made it into our pop band.
You were the first. That's good.
Well, I was the first to be told. Whether I was the first chosen or not, who knows, but I was the first one that they came to tell me that I'd made the group. And I was like, what? You lied to me. It's not an interview. Next thing, I acted like a real dick because I started crying, and I was like, I just want to thank my mum and dad for bringing me to this country.
Let's go.
When I look back now, I go, what a knob. You haven't even started yet, and you want to thank everyone like you're at the bloody Grammy Awards.
Just want a Grammy. Just want a Grammy.
That's what it felt like. It's actually what.
But that's an achievement, just to get there, and for them, like you said a bit earlier, if your mum and dad don't bring you to the country, if they don't, what I mean, 2 years of trying to get out, and then a whole week of traveling, and even all the processes to get to that point. So it's like that's a whole journey and a whole lot of, like you said, whānau tautoko to get you there. So that's
absolutely,
cool.
Man, for sure. And it was like, just to be given that opportunity was amazing. And now in my mind, it's also like, I've got to tell my boyfriend that I'm not coming to Otago.
Sorry, Togo.
Sorry. Remember how I said I also want to be a career woman? Yeah, well, about that, I'm doing that. But he was awesome. He was like, got full support. We'll meet up when we can, where we can. Do your thing, I'll do my thing. We'll, co-parent and raise our beautiful daughter. And so the process from there was, we weren't told who else was in the band. We were just going to meet eventually and see who each other was. So they set it up where down on the viaduct in Auckland, each one of us were given a time slot to arrive. And so by the time I arrived, I got there, I was the last one to arrive, and there were the other 4 girls who I'd kind of guessed some were in and maybe some not. And so literally we were 5 strangers who'd met during an audition process for a short period of time, didn't know each other, didn't know each other's abilities other than what we saw during that competition time. And pretty much sprung to action straight away, with the next day getting into a studio and recording a demo and trying to pen some songs, meeting with stylists and music producers. And the whole time you've got cameras in your face, and it was all secret squirrels at the time, because the first episode, of course, was going to be the big reveal. So, and what a journey, what a ride. I mean, roller coaster of emotional highs and lows, but an incredible time.
Yeah, solid. Can we shout out to all the aunties too, or the sisters who
all those? Yes. Oh, they're my sisters, all right. Jo Cotton, Erica Tokash, Kerry Harper, and Carly Binding, who are my music sisters, the blisters, as we call each other.
Blisters.
blisters.
I haven't had a blister for a while. No.
Hey, you want one of these blisters? These are nice ones.
Yeah. And then come on the podcast. This we have a yarn. Keen. Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely love those girls to bits. And one of our members left quite early on in the journey to take her own pathway, and that's cool. But most certainly for the four of us, we've been on this journey for 24 years together, and I just am so stoked to be standing side by side with them on a stage when we do still get to perform now and then.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
We're fun. They're naughty as though. I was the goody man.
Oh, I mean, were they all single? Or were they all single at the time?
Single at the time, all right. Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, that's it.
I'd go home to my baby and I'd hear all the stories the next day. And I could tell you some stories, but that's for the after hours show.
Yes, after hours show. Funny. Subscribe on another platform. No.
Yeah, they've got hearts of gold, those girls. Beautiful, humble, down to earth, super talented.
Yeah.
And we had an awesome time. And, to think that we recorded our album in a week, that's unheard of,
It's crazy.
Played the music, recorded it within a week. And just this week actually is the anniversary of our album dropping and going platinum.
25 years.
25 years. Yep. On I think 2 days ago it would have been released, and really, really awesome. We've just signed a deal for our album to be pressed on vinyl. So that's coming through in June, July. So the 25th celebration's been awesome because it's given us the chance to do some of the things that we couldn't do back then and have a bit more control over some of our product and merchandise as well. So, just reliving our youth all over again.
Yeah, the youth. Shout out to the youth. Am I echoing on your end?
You're not echoing on my end. Am I echoing in your ear?
No.
Am I speaking too loudly?
No, you're all good. Safe as. No. I must have been playing up for a second. All goody. No. So what happens then? How you do that? I remember the show, but I was a kid, so I was.
Oh man! So everywhere we went, everything we did, we'd have camera crew following us, and so every week there was an episode. I think it was a Tuesday night. It would be a 30-minute to an hour episode, and it was the #1 TV show at the time. Yeah. So. I mean, we're musically talented, but let's face it, our album also went #1 because you had that type of, profile and public support. Exactly, the exposure was.
Were you just traveling in New Zealand, or did you been overseas?
We actually only got to travel New Zealand. The whole idea was for us to take the TV show with our show over to Australia, and then for Australia to then do their own version. But I think a couple of people got greedy and got a little bit premature and sold the concept rather than us as a TV show. And so that could have and should have been done a little bit differently. But hey, bygones are bygones, and that's how it was done.
And then the whole Idol thing popped off after that too, eh?
Yes, so I want to tell you how that went. So we did our TV show, we did the single, our album. We then went on a 3-week tour, and it was 2 shows a day for 3 weeks, sold out everywhere, crazy young people, amazing fun. We were in Christchurch when we read in the paper that the concept had been sold. So that was a bit of a kick in the guts.
Yeah.
But what happened was producers from Australia bought the concept. So they bought pop stars from New Zealand to Australia. They did 2 seasons, I think. Then the guys in the UK bought pop stars, and they did 2 or 3 seasons of pop stars in the UK. They then changed the format from a girl band to individuals and changed pop stars to pop idol. Pop Idol turned into UK Idol, American Idol, X Factor, The Voice, and so on.
Okay.
Started here in little old New Zealand, though.
Started there, eh? Yeah. And we got one idol. Shout out Stan. Got a dub in the old idol over there in Aussie.
Oh, Stan Walker is the man. He's awesome.
We like judge on there or something. We on that idol too?
I was idol judge on season 3 in New Zealand. So they did 2 seasons. I was overseas in Japan, and then they wanted to change things up a bit for the last season. So they brought me over to female judge that one, which I loved. It was also hard because it was the first time where I was in a position where, I'd say if something was good, or I'd say if something wasn't so good, and people would be like, "Who the F does she think she is? She's yelling us, I can't sing." And I was like, "Oh, what do you mean? All of a sudden, some of these people don't like me. I'm so used to being liked.
Who won that one, sis?
The one that I did, oh man, a young Maori Samoan boy by the name of Matt Sonoa won that one. Mean singer, South Auckland boy, De La Salle College.
Oh,
he in the end ended up moving over to Australia. He did some music in Aussie. I think he landed himself in a bit of a rut and a bit of a wrong journey. I think the bro isn't doing so well with drugs and alcohol, and probably needs a little bit of downtime with protection at the moment. But I'm sending him all the love and well wishes for this journey. But in terms of musical talent, he was amazing. Amazing. Yeah. And also really, really beautiful heart, lovely man, which is why I so tautoko for him to get himself back up and be the beautiful, talented Matt Sonoa that we all know.
Yeah. Do you speak more Māori than you speak Tongan, or is it about the same?
Probably more te reo, actually.
Yeah, you got heaps there.
Well, when you live in the land of the long white cloud, got to shout out to Tangata Whenua. I learned the language.
Oh, some of the people they want to. So.
Some of the people should.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. Sis, that's me.
Hey, Shubz, can I just ask you for 1 sec?
Yeah.
I like it when we're trying to be all high and mighty, and I've got this, that. I'm cooking a kai for my family. Can I just go and turn the timer off before I burn the house down? I'll be 1 minute.
Go hard. Shout out to the sis. She just went to go in, do the thing. Go do her kai. I'll just let it run, fam. Hopefully, anybody that's listening, if you're still listening, Megan will be back. Or Megan.
I'm here.
Is it Megan? Megan. Which one do you prefer, sister? Megan or Megan?
Megan.
Do people try to call you Megan?
There's Megan, there's Megani.
Oh, Megani.
As long as you're not calling me Biatch, I'm all good with the names.
Not the Biatch. What are you cooking anyway?
Tonight I'm making a South African soup. It's called Millies and Bwinkies. And it's a combination of, there's this kind of corn type South African dish. It's almost like a corn, yeah. It's called maize mealies, and then we've got some beans, and I've chucked some soup bones in there, and it's gonna be yummy. My daughter Tanika, who's pregnant at the moment.
Oh, she's happy. Oh, with the first moko,
Yeah, with our first moko. She's craving South African food, man. So at least once a week I get the old SOS, Mom, can you bring me some South African curry and fried bread? And I'm like, okay, so today's request was a bit of a South African soup, so it's been in the background. The house smells good. It's nice and warm because it's bloody cold here at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. So obviously you got into that, all of that. But you said you lived in Japan. Was it supporting tautoko in the brother?
It was. So we did the music thing. I did the music thing for a couple of years. Peter, did his rugby thing with the Super Rugby at the time, and then the All Blacks, and then he was dropped from the team in 2002, which should not have happened because he was like at the top of the game, played really well. He was unfairly dropped when that happened, but because of that, he was like, he's not gonna play for a coach.
Don Mitchell. Yeah,
it was.
John Mitchell.
Oh man, I tell you what. But anyway, Pete decided that he wasn't going to fight his way through to a coach that didn't see his value and talent, and so I had the opportunity to go to France, Italy, or Japan, and we were like, let's go somewhere quite different, and chose to go to Japan. We were in Tokyo for 2 years with Suntory Rugby there, and that was an amazing experience. But what was even more awesome was we had our third child there. So we've got Tonika, the oldest, Tiara, who's just turned 21, DJing over there in Australia with you guys, and Trey, our boy, he was born in Japan. So we've got a little Blackanese boy.
Blackanese. That's pretty cool. Yeah, what was life like in Japan? For you, like, if someone asks you, explain life in Japan for yourself, Megan.
Oh man, it is such a cultural shock when you get to a place like Japan for the actual traditional indigenous culture that they have and celebrate there, but also for this crazy, amazing modern technology world that they have. If you can imagine flying into Japan, and literally, you know why it's called the land of the rising sun, because you get there and there's just this big, when the Air New Zealand planes used to land in, big red sun, and just like, wow. And you drive for about an hour through what looks like rice paddy fields and quite rural. And then honestly, when you get to Tokyo City, it's like what you see in the movies, where it's just into cross section of motorways. There's like 10 motorways that go in each direction. You've got monorails right beside the road. And underneath, you've got the jet boats and the ferries. It honestly was every mode of transport on this big metropolis vista, with skyscrapers like we've never seen before, and digital billboards, and then in amongst all of that you might see a Japanese temple or a lady wearing a kimono, and there's just millions of people everywhere with the trains intersectioning, and yet it's also quiet and calm, but you've got all this technology and other chaos around you. It is such a juxtaposition of tradition and modern and old and new, but the most disciplined and the most traditional and humble people you could be around. I thought the Japanese were going to be really strict and samurais that you see in the movies. They might be dressed like that, but they're so caring and hospitable and accommodating, and you give them a little and they give you a lot. And I guess because we were willing to learn the language and really get immersed in the culture, they really embraced our family and gave us such an incredible time. I mean, if you can imagine, in the heart of Tokyo, with all of these skyscrapers and everything, you've got a rugby stadium right in the middle of that. It's like, what the heck? And then down the road again, you've got people praying, and it's just, it's a cultural shock, but if shock can be used in a positive way, just you're left dumbfounded, like, bro, honest to God, I remember thinking, oh man, they've misprinted things, because on the back of magazines or on cans and things, their barcodes were weird. 21 years ago, they were doing QR codes. I thought it was a wrong barcode.
Crazy, eh? Just advanced, eh?
When we started doing it, it was like, oh, that's what they were doing. Pay wave with your phone. 25 years ago, I'd see people go through the train terminal and boop, boop. They're so advanced. Vending machines with ice creams and Coke and hot coffee, like, mind blown. How do you have ice cream and hot coffee in the same thing?
Crazy.
And the discipline, the discipline and the respect that they have, which is why I really love that their traditional culture still is the law first and foremost.
It's beautiful.
Like they abide by that.
In a modern metropolis, that's a beautiful thing, the way that
it's amazing.
Crazy.
And then at the same time, it's things like you'd have these massive schools, and our kids would sometimes come home 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because once a week it was their turn to clean the schoolyard or polish the floors. And it just gave them a real sense of pride for the things that belong to them and the things that they call their own. So I learned so much in Japan as well. We were in Tokyo for 2 years, and then a small town called Kamaishi in Iwate Ken, which is about 6 hours north of Tokyo. We were there for 8 years. And
with the earthquake, were you there then? The tsunami?
Yeah, so if you can imagine, there's just hills and mountains on both sides. So you're kind of in this valley, and on one side it's a bit rural, and then on the other side it's just coastline and beaches and beautiful. And so that entire coastline was just
destroyed.
And that tsunami swell that really swallowed 3/4 of our town, and then all along that coastline.
So where were you? Where were your fellows for? Where was your fellows for?
Our whare was about 500 to a kilometer away from where the water stopped. So
not
where
far.
there was terrible devastation and town just ripped apart, one of our older apartments where we first lived was there. We'd later on moved again. But we were due to be in the middle of town that day. So the earthquake and the tsunami happened on 11th of March, which is the day of Peter's birthday, actually.
Yeah.
And my mum had arrived into Japan the day before to come and celebrate our boy. He was graduating from kindergarten, because that's what they do in Japan. You graduate and get your cap and yeah, so that was the day before, and the day of the tsunami, we were meant to be in the middle of town celebrating my son's last day of kindy and Pete's birthday dinner, and we didn't get into town because my boy had been playing in the car and the car battery died. So instead of going into
Shout out
town,
to him.
we ended up just going to a restaurant closer to our house, and that restaurant, sadly, that we were meant to be at was absolutely destroyed and 0 survivors. So I just look at the universe and the higher power that looked after us that day, and I felt so bad because I didn't quite give Trey a hiding, but he definitely got a growling when the battery was flat. And then afterwards, when I realized, it was like, Trey, oh my God, you
Shout
saved
out Trey,
us.
man. Oh, shout out Trey, cuz. Holy Rick.
Yeah, so from that moment, Pete had to go and run to Tiara school to go and get Tiara from school, and he said it was such a sight to see, all these kiddies yelling and screaming under the desks. But he went to go and get her, and my daughter Tanika was at boarding school here in New Zealand at St. Cuth's, and
Wow, how was she feeling? Because like her family's there, she knows we all
I
at.
got a text to her to say, "Oh my God, darling, massive earthquake." That's all I could get out. And after that, we had lost power for a whole week. So my daughter for a week didn't know if we were okay, if we were not okay. And all you guys would have seen was the footage of the tsunami coming through. And our town was often the town that was highlighted on the news footage. We lost lots of friends and families. So it was a really horrific, sad time. But again, if I think about how the Japanese were so resilient, the way they looked after us to make sure that we were okay, and would walk over rubble to get to us to share their rice balls, and just make sure that they were still looking after the foreigners who were there. And it was a humbling experience.
All right. So
Yeah.
did you ever, I don't know if you believe in it, but I heard a lot of stories about like people rocking up. Because how long were you there after that? Like people rocking up, they were dead, but they like just rocking up in taxis and all these kinds of things. Did you hear any of those stories? Or people rocking up, they were already gone, and you know what I mean? Quite a few people talk about that.
Yeah, what I experienced personally was, I shared that my mum was with us. That day we were lucky we had our translator with us, because of on your birthday in Japan for the rugby teams, you'd have a health physical check. So she, Takemi, beautiful, awesome woman, she was with Peter for his health check that day, and she ended up being stuck kind of on our side of town and not being able to go home because of the roads and everything. And it was months later before she was able to go to all of the different evacuation centers. And if you can imagine having to look through body bags at limbs and bodies to see if that was maybe a family member. So it was months until she was able to, identify some of her family. So I personally have had that type of experience. Because there were so many, I would say, thousands of people lost at sea because of the way that the tsunami would have pulled back. I wouldn't be shocked if bodies were found later, or if people who did survive were on the other side of town. I personally didn't experience that, but one story I have is of we call him our Japanese grandfather. When the earthquake hit, he knew that an earthquake of that size was going to create a tsunami, and he was a fisherman. So he sent his family in his car, sent them up to the temple, and he jumped in his boat and he rowed in against the tsunami wave. And you can imagine, he said he turned around and his whole town was just being washed away.
Wow.
But two weeks later, he came back and he was back alive. He managed to time it right to go over the tsunami wave.
Yeah.
But you can imagine in his regard, his family had no idea what had happened to this old man. And when he came back, he docked at the wharf that was now a makeshift wharf.
Yes.
And he would not get out of his boat, He was holding on to that as his livelihood for life. And the rugby boys would have to, used to go and visit him, and they'd take a massive bottle of sake and sit there and get drunk with him. And he'd tell them what that experience was like. So lots of bravery and lots of really, really sad experiences of, beautiful lives lost. But the way that town pulled back together and rebuilt, and for it to, I think it must have been 7 years later, to have been a host town for the Rugby World Cup.
Yeah.
That shows incredible
resilience. Crazy, they could do that quick, man.
Tell you what, the Japanese, don't mess with them.
Look around there, solid. Well, this thing here, that photo we got, there's a celebrity Treasure Island thing. How was that experience like before?
I wasn't very celebrity when they chose me, and I definitely didn't survive the test of time. It was pretty cool, though. I haven't really been doing a lot of television work or high-profile stuff in a while. Yep. And so last year, when I got the call up to say, hey, we're doing a season of Celebrity Treasure Island, and we'd like you to be a part of it, I was like, awesome. Let me go and lose some pounds, maybe, if there's not much eating. But it was cool. It was neat to be on reality TV. I've always wanted to do a show like that, or The Amazing Race. I love that kind of adventure and that teamwork where you don't really know who your team is. I had an awesome team, and Miriam Smith was with me, Blair. So Miriam Smith, what's Blair's last name? Blair from Shortland Street. We had
Blair.
Yeah, he's the man. Rangi from Shortland Street back in the day. We had Mary Lambie from Breakfast TV. We had Nika Foa. It was just such a cool lineup. Really, really awesome vibe. And when you're sleeping in makeshift bunks and hammocks and having next to nothing food to eat, you kind of got to get along, or you're all fighting scraps instead of bloody sharing.
Where did they put you? Where was this one filmed? Where was that?
So at first, when they told us where this one was going to be filmed, I felt a little bit ripped off because I was all ready to go to a Mexican island or Fiji or something. But we ended up being down in between Queenstown and Wanaka, down in the South Island. And honestly, it was stunning. It was almost like a mix between a safari feel and an island feel.
Oh, okay.
And, awesome to showcase the landscapes and what we have right here on our doorstep. So, and they made it real fancy, like we got helicoptered in and jet boats, and that was their way of making up for not taking us to tropical island.
Solid. Well.
But I tell you what, I was unfit. I didn't strategize because I was out pretty quickly and I was gutted. And because you've got to keep it under wraps that you're on the show, when the show finally aired, oh my God, my friends and family were like, "Oi, we didn't expect you to go and be useless." You should have told us. We would have given you the strategy. We've been watching this show. He was here. I was just like, I'm just happy to be invited.
Yeah, just happy to be here, guys.
Yeah, and I'm not even on TV anymore, and I got an invitation. Shush.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, though. What are you doing today, sis? What are you doing now? What's the mahi now? I seen you said you're a bit of a consultant, something. What's that?
Yeah, so in my day job, I work in corporate organizations as a consultant. So I implement diversity and inclusion strategies and well-being programs for employees, just to make sure that big organizations and smaller looking after our people and making sure that there's the right engagement and that everybody gets a fair chance at a good job and the job that they're in, that they're being well looked after. So that's kind of a learning and development, well-being type of role. And then in my night job, No, I'm joking. There isn't enough job.
Oh, you got me there. I was like, oh, where we go?
No, I do a bit of emceeing and singing at events and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
No polls involved there, Shubz. I saw where you were going with that.
Come on, sis. Get your mind out the gutter, sis. I wasn't thinking, and even if they were involved, hey, each to their own, man.
Oh, for sure. I've tried that and I know I can't. I got stuck on a pole once on a bloody hen's night and I was like, nah, those girls are talented, not me.
There's some skills though, hey, straight up. And but if maybe you need to do that before you went to Survivor, or not Survivor, to Treasure Island. Yeah. Might have been a bit better. Oh, goody. What you said inclusion though? What's that? Diversity? What's diversity inclusion? What's that mean?
So with diversity, it pretty much means if you think about anyone in your family or anyone in your community should have a fair shot at a job or at an opportunity given their skill base and their experience. So, you know, when you look in an organization or a corporate, say you go into a banking sector, it's really important that there's a cross-section of all people being represented, not, you know, that these senior roles are just for a particular look of person or a particular background. Nah, if someone's got the skill, if they've got the experience or the desire, then those opportunities should be available to everyone. And if it's not quite right, then my job is to make organizations accountable and help them put better practices and services in place to make sure that everyone in this world who has merit and skill has an opportunity to be in the role that they deserve.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, there's some money in that role. Too much.
Has to be. I mean, gosh, we're shooting ourselves in the foot if we don't do that, you know, whether you're gay or straight or you have an island background or an English background, if you've got a disability or not, man, that doesn't mean that you don't have this and this and the talent to give. So don't do yourself a disservice and keep those people back. Welcome those people into the fold and good things can happen.
You said a cool word there, gay. You gay, so was it lesbian? What is it? I don't know.
You asked me before, you said, am I with the Rainbow Nation now? And I said to you, Rainbow Nation,
the human nation. Yeah. Oh, no, it wasn't. But it wasn't. Hey, it's just like, because I thought you were still, I don't know. My sister's like, I think she has a girlfriend now or something. I was like, oh, okay. Thanks for that. Thanks for updating me, G.
I do. I'm engaged to my partner, Natalie.
Yeah, so, shout out, Natalie.
Yeah, she's the bomb. So that happened about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I didn't think that I was attracted to other females in that line.
Oh, that's first time.
It is. Hey, is this a bloody sex exclusive now?
Hey, oh no, I wasn't talking about the pumps.
I'm joking. No, but to answer your question, it's true. I've got lots of friends of all sexualities and all backgrounds, and you know, they have my full support always. But I became very attracted to this beautiful human with an awesome heart. She's crazy, crack up, funny, super intelligent, and for me, it was go with what I'm feeling. Let's go with that connection. Just so happens to be a woman, and I'm all for it. I mean, if she's giving me the sweet kisses and the whispers in my ear, that's a yes from me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Natalie, that's the way.
But you know, for a lot of people, it was a shock and a surprise, and you know, they'll go, "Oh, you're gay now," and I'm just like, I've just always been me. I feel what I feel, and I push into that. My children are awesome. When I shared with them, and I said, "Oh, you know, I've got a girlfriend. Her name's Natalie," and they were like, and mom. So
my mom.
Me, as long as my children and my family are supportive and awesome, fantastic. If they weren't, well, so be it. I lead with my heart, and that's where it is at the moment. And we're enjoying our journey together. Long may that last.
100%. Yeah, get it, Natalie. Too much. Yeah. Shout out to Natalie. But yeah, and anybody that's listening is like,
Oh, sorry to interrupt, but I was going to say, get this. She proposes to me. We become engaged, and then she goes over to Papua New Guinea for a bloody deployment and leaves me here by myself.
Hey, you know what it is, Korea woman, sis. You know what it is.
So a big shout out to my girl Nat that's in Bougainville at the moment.
Yeah, Big shout out, Net. Wait, what's Net's background?
Net's a Niuean Samoan. Niuean
Wow, you're
Samoan.
covering all the islands, my sister. I like it. That's
I
cool.
love it. You know, gotta love the Pacific.
Yeah, 100%.
And Natalie is in the special services, so she's representing New Zealand Police and United Nations with a peacekeeping project over in Bougainville at the moment.
Salute you, Natalie. Too much.
Super proud of her. She's doing great. So
yeah, that's mean. And anybody listening that's like, oh, Shubz said, oh, you gay, like, hey, I love all people. Cause I just was confused there. I love all people. Do whatever you want to do. Yeah, but you know,
I don't think you should be, and don't be ashamed to ask. And people shouldn't be ashamed to share. I know in some cultures and some communities, it's still a bit of a sticky point, and you know, some say, oh, you can't do that, you can't talk about it, but. Come on, let's keep things real. So I'm not offended by that. I mean, would I be offended if you asked me if I was hetero? No. Why should I be offended if I'm gay?
Just asking the question.
I don't like the labels and the boxes. I like all people.
Yeah, I like that too. Wait, the boxes, that's a good one. My koro always used to say to me, because I always used to say, oh, my teacher or someone will say, I think outside the box, and he'll be like, just don't have a box, then you can't be contained. So yeah, I like that. That's the mentality. Yeah. Before we get out of here,
we like people to be down to earth, but don't have your feet so hard on the ground that you go underground and don't do jack with it.
Oh, mum was on, eh? Shout out to mum. She's on,
she's
all
pretty
right.
on. You'd love mum. She's awesome.
Yeah. Mum, come on the podcast.
Oh, she'll teach us a thing or two.
Yeah, I'm keen on those yarns. I'll be on to anybody. I just want to ask a couple of quick ones before we get out of here, my sis, because I've taken up a bit of your time. But I am grateful. Brother. All right. If you could only have one meal for the rest of your life, which one do you choose?
Man, it would have to be my mum's mince curry and fat cook, which is fried bread. It's the cheapest dish in the whole wide world, but I tell you, can feed an army. It's tasty any day.
All right, we're gonna have to podcast in the flesh and get some of this munch from mum. Let's get it. Right. I like it, sis. If you could choose a superpower, which one do you choose and why? Or maybe even create one if you think of creating one.
Oh,
besides all the superpowers you already have.
Yeah. If there was a superpower that I selfishly or personally would like for myself, it's the superpower to dream big and do it, not just think it. Because so many times I know for all of us, we go, oh, I want to do this. And there's so much that I still think I want to set out to do in life. And I've actually been holding myself back sometimes. So if I could tap into that superpower and just do all the things that my heart's desired, then I would love that.
Yeah, there you go, finally. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Last one, sis. Visualization 10 years from now. Give us visualization 10 years from now. What's life like for Megan Alatini or Megan Natalie? I don't know how it works. But
10 years from now, I want to be as healthy as possible. I want to have my own business empire of entertainment, events, media. I want to have lots of mokos, all my own. I don't even know. But health and wealth. But health to me is wealth. And that's what I want 10 years from now.
Yes. Actually, I just thought of another one. Any pieces of advice for people wanting to get into any of the industries that you've gotten into, or any of the stuff that you've done, or just, I guess, you've done some cool stuff in your life. So any advice for anybody that wants to give those a crack?
Yeah, my advice is start. And there's so many times that we think about it, we write it down, and how many times do people actually go out there and give it a real good go? I don't think I'd be in the position I am right now if I didn't actually take that leap forward and go for it. Stop thinking about the what if this goes wrong? What if I'm ashamed? What if I'm embarrassed? Well, what if the opposite happens? What if it goes right? What if you get out there and you are a success? Just how good could that be and how good could that feel? So just start. And whatever unfolds from there, go with it.
Yeah, beautiful, sis. I just want to say time is the most valuable commodity we have as human beings. The one thing we can never get back, we can always get back money, we can always get back things, but time spent is time lost. So thank you for sharing over an hour of your time with me and anybody that listens to this for years to come. And hopefully this isn't the last time we sit down, not just on here, but maybe even in the flesh.
Absolutely. I would welcome you into my home anytime, brother. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for having me. People, keep listening, keep sharing, and all the best for the rest of the year. Much love.
Thank you so much for watching this full episode of Mind the Mic. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to create these episodes. So to know that you've watched and listened to the entire thing means the world to myself and all our hosts. If you could, before you leave, please hit the subscribe button and share this episode out to as many people as possible. It would help us so much. Thank you again to everybody that's still here, still watching. Thank you for all your comments, all your shares, all the DMs. Appreciate you all. Make sure you follow us on every platform. Have an awesome morning. Have an awesome night, depending on where you are in the world. Mind the mic out.
Oi, have you hit the link in bio yet?
Watch full episodes on YouTube or listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all streaming platforms.